I just came home from the gym, and the journey to get back to my house was absolutely ludicrous. So let me tell you about it. As I was trying to merge on the highway, there was a hatchback. What's that Duracell Nissan thing? The branch, the flower, the leaf. Yeah, I knew it was something vegetation related. So there's a Nissan Leaf that has the front bumper. It's just completely blasted. It looks like it's been hit from the side. Anyway, that's not really part of the whole hysteria here. As I merged on, that person was in the other lane, and I look over, and the car is literally, not figuratively, literally full of plushies. Now, that might not seem like a crazy thing to you because you're still not listening. It's not just like, oh, they had a bunch of plushies on the dash because they really like Pokemon. Oh, and a couple in the back seat. Oh, how adorable, how cute. I'm telling you, it was actually literally full of plushies. So the person could clearly only see like in the passenger seat. They were completely, I mean, I assume they're all the way down to the floor, all up on the seat, and they were basically just below eye level. So that way you could see out the side. And the same thing in the back. This is a hatchback here. And it was completely full, so there was just like a little tiny space that you could see out the back of it as well. I assume the only way that you could open this Labubu mobile would be to open, the driver's side door. So I don't know what was going on here. Is there like a black market Labubu? What are those things actually called? I don't even know that. Labubu sounds like a French nudist beach. Hey, you want to go down to Labubu? Oh my God, that was the worst joke I've ever made. But it was such a fascinating sight, and I just couldn't get my head around the idea that the plushies, the Labubus, whatever the heck they are, were probably more valuable than the car that this woman was driving. It was quite the spectacle. But anyway, I'm going up the hill, just minding my own business. I'm listening to my new favorite artist to help me relax and chill and just kind of vibe. Aurora, if you don't know, check her out. She's awesome. And out of my my side view mirror, I see this like blue, dilapidated 84 LeBaron. And I'm like, these guys are coming up quick. It's raining pretty hard here. And I noticed that they don't have like a roof, or like if there was a roof, it's just been so corroded out. It looked like it was a soft top. So it's pouring rain outside right now. And I'm like, what is happening right now? And this car just comes zooming by me, and I'm like, I don't know how well this person is. And I'm not joking, like I just got the instinct to like pull over, like so my wheels went over like a little strip on the side. And so I'm like driving over on the shoulder, and this guy comes flying by and then like slows down next to me and almost clips my car because he gets into my lane for no apparent reason. Now, this happens all very quickly, but the good thing I have a good memory here. So the snapshot that I get is an insane scene here. So like the two guys from the Muppet Show, the two old guys are always like crouching. It looked like those two guys were inside the car. They must have been about 140 years old, or maybe they were only like 40 and just did a lot of drugs. No teeth, skinny, emaciated, and it is pouring rain, scraggly hair. The windows are only like halfway down on the side. I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe the windows just don't work. There's no license plate on the front, no license plate on the back, and they were driving like nothing I've ever seen before. Literally just like swerving it's two lanes, just swerving like between the two lanes willy-nilly. And probably the most fascinating aspect of this whole thing is there was someone behind me, because I obviously slowed down, wanting nothing to do with getting my car wrecked again. And the person behind me goes around me and then starts like tailgating these goofballs and honking. I'm like, why would you want to increase the amount of chaos? clearly something's not right with these individuals. Best be backing off, but no, they had somewhere to go. So honking. Anyway, so then as you come up the hill, it branches off into 2 left turn lanes and then 2 lanes that go straight. And I had slowed down. It's like 55 miles an hour. I'm going like 20 at this point because I'm just like, don't want anything to do with the chaos that's about to happen. So the Baron is over here in the far right lane for a minute and then slams on his brakes and at about 2 miles an hour goes from the right lane that I was in all the way over to the left turn lane. But then when he gets between one of the lanes that goes straight and one of the left turn lanes, just stops. Don't know if his car stalled out. Don't really know exactly what was going on here, but he just kind of like stops there. Then he pulls forward a little bit and then he like looks like he's going to get back over to the right because the light turned green. So some of the cars started going and then he like whips to the left again. And by that time, I was going straight, he was going left, so it was out of my hands. Hopefully no one got injured, but it was one of the strangest experiences I've ever had just driving home from the gym. Now you're probably wondering, hey bub, I clicked on a video about the governing body update. Why the heck are you telling me about your automobile adventures? Well, if you did click on the video, I didn't want you to feel like I left you empty-handed, like you didn't get anything out of it. And I promise you, you can watch to the end of the video if you want, but I promise you that little story of me driving home is 10 times more interesting and exciting than this governing body update. But I always talk about the governing body updates, so let's do this. Hello and welcome back to the JW Thoughts channel. My name is Wally and today we're looking at a white guy read from a teleprompter about some cult news and it's pretty boring. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. So if you don't want to stick around and watch to the end, stay safe, be kind, and don't forget to spend more time loving the things you love than hating the things you hate. If you want to enjoy this with me, then maybe we'll have a few giggles along the way. So thank you for sticking around, and if you do, drop a like on the video, because why the heck not? Anyway, let's watch this thing.
Welcome. In this program, we'll share exciting highlights from the 2025 Service Year Report. We'll also share some encouraging experiences from the campaign we had in September. But first, here are some updates. On October 24th through 26th, 2025, a special convention was held in Kobe, Japan. Over 3,000 delegates attended from 35 countries. The peak attendance was 22,591. A highlight was the baptism of 93 new brothers and sisters.
This is always interesting to me whenever they talk about these big international conventions, because I would assume that people would wait to get baptized at an international convention. It's considered a pretty special thing. To a Jehovah's Witness, these special international conventions, I know the nomenclature has changed so many times. It took me forever to get up to saying it the correct way, and then they just changed it back to the old way. So I can't even keep it straight anymore, but that's neither here nor there. But these are very, very important to Jehovah's Witnesses. And when I close my eyes and think about it, I would assume a lot of people, if they had baptism on the mind, it was right around the corner for them, they might just hold out an extra 6 months or a year, knowing that they're going to have this opportunity to get baptized at the special international convention. And then he gives you the number of people baptized. 22,500 people in attendance and 93 get baptized? What is that? That is a 0.43% increase, which is exactly like representative of where Watchtower stands these days. You know, they can all clap and high five each other that they had 93 people, but that represents a very, very, very tiny percentage, like under 0.5% of growth for that area and the people that are involved. And I know that could be a little bit skewed because there was 3,000 delegates, but you know, I like easy math, so we'll just stick with what I've already said here. I just don't know why they even mention the baptism numbers at that point. If you're going to have a situation where there's 22,000 people there and 1,000 people get baptized, that would be worth talking about. But someone very quickly, just in their heads, can work out the math and be like, man, it's not looking very good for the organization. These preaching efforts that we're putting forth, are they actually yielding a lot of results? Which is going to be, as he said, what he wants to talk about later on in this whole thing. But I always just find that interesting, how few people get baptized at these international conventions nowadays, because back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, when you had an international convention or they show pictures of the baptisms or you hear stories, they will tell you that they weren't able to do all of the baptisms in the allotted amount of time. People were still getting baptized as the program started because you had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, if not 1,000, getting baptized at the same time. And now they're like, we had 93. And you assume that just about all of those will be kids, which equals zero growth for the organization.
Conventions strengthen our brotherhood. They also give a powerful witness. A delegate from Mauritius related this experience. A hotel chef asked, "What kind of group is this?" I explained we were Jehovah's Witnesses attending a special event. He said, "Everyone wearing this badge is so refreshing, polite, and always smiling." Later, he brought a colleague and said, "These are the wonderful people I mentioned, well-dressed, courteous, and impressive." He said he might even attend the convention on his day off. Toward the end, he shared, "I've met foreign missionaries before, but you're completely different. You're truly refreshing, and I actually look forward to coming to work every day because of you." Pure worship glorifies Jehovah.
Again, this is another thing that always makes me laugh. How can I make a comparison here? If you're a parent and you tell your kid every single day, "Hey, don't forget to clean your room. Hey, clean up your room. Hey, pal, clean up your dang room. You're looking like a real ragamuffin." And, they clean their room. What is on a scale of 1 to 10, what is the satisfaction and happiness that you're going to feel after you've told them, maybe multiple times that day to clean their room? It's probably going to be like a 1, a 2. You'll be like, golly, well, finally you did it. Now, compare that with how would you feel if you didn't say, "Hey, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room," and you just happen to walk by, open the door, pop in, and the room is spick and span and spotless. Wouldn't that be like a 9 or a 10 satisfaction? Like, they clean their room. That just makes me feel so good. That just makes me all warm and fuzzy inside, right? Now, Watchtower, if you tell people to always be on their best behavior during the convention time, when they're going to restaurants, when they're at their hotel, every time they have their little badge that marks them as, I see what I was doing there. I was combining the word badge and mark. There we go. Anyway, at least we worked it all out together. But you tell them every year there's a little part on one of their meetings where they go through this whole checklist and they remind people to, make sure you're dressed appropriately, make sure you're extra nice, make sure you tip everyone, make sure you're always smiling, you're representing Jehovah. How much satisfaction, then, are you feeling as an organization, knowing that you were told to do this and you did it, and therefore people were impressed? Now, this would be impressive if you didn't tell people, Watchtower. Then you could be like, wow, look what they said about the Jehovah's Witnesses at the convention area. How everyone was courteous and nice. You'd be like, wow, the instructions that we give them, although not directly telling them that they have to do this, they're really yielding a lot of benefits. They're making Jehovah's Witnesses be very good and nice people. That you could have a lot of satisfaction in that. But I think you get like that 1 or 2. It was like, well, I guess they did exactly what we told them, so Maybe that is where they get their sick satisfaction, though. They don't want people to be autonomous. They just want them to be rule followers. So maybe I'm the crazy person here, and I have it all backwards in my head. Anyway, let's move on.
When disasters like these occur, we're deeply concerned about our brothers and sisters. It's just as the Apostle Paul said at 1 Corinthians 12, 25, and 26. So that there should be no division in the body, but its members should have mutual concern for one another. If one member suffers, all the other members suffer with it. According to the study note on verse 25, the phrase, its members should have mutual concern for one another, literally means the members should be anxious over one another. It goes on to say, the use of this verb highlights the intensity with which the members of the Christian congregation should care about the spiritual, physical, and material welfare of fellow believers. Please continue to pray earnestly for those affected by disasters earth-wide. We're also deeply grateful for the many volunteers working to provide spiritual, physical, and material relief. And that includes all of you. Thank you for your prayers and your generous donations, which make this relief work possible.
So he was talking about a couple of unfortunate events in Jamaica and in the Philippines, and he gave like some statistics about how many people were displaced and how many kingdom halls and brothers and sisters' homes were destroyed or damaged and all of that stuff. But I just did find it interesting how he directly looks at the Bible and even their study notes, and he says, this is how a Christian should act. And for the most part, Jehovah's Witnesses around the world are pretty responsive to that as individuals. As individuals, they kind of hold up this responsibility in a pretty amazing way in supporting one another through some difficult times, especially during disaster relief. I know on a local level and people's individual experiences, that might not be the case. But when it does come to like disaster relief and things like that, there is a fair amount of charity that goes on amongst the individual Jehovah's Witnesses. But where that just absolutely falls off of a cliff like Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, you get the mushroom cloud goes up, is if you apply that scripture to Watchtower as an organization. As an organization, I've yapped about this so much, I'm even tired of listening to myself. They don't do diddly bupkis of nothing. Absolutely nothing for people. And they claim that they spend, this pitiful amount of money doing disaster relief. But then they are proud to come out and say, hey, we don't actually provide people with money, shelter, assistance, but we gave them the advice to plant gardens. If you missed it, it's a video I did about a couple weeks ago. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, where they literally are proud of themselves for saying, hey, we told people that if they need food, they should plant a garden. So as an organization, they are despicable. Absolutely reprehensible behavior for how they actually do charity, for being a tax-exempt organization, that relies on that charitable status to function. And then they turn around and don't do anything to actually help people. But I just found it funny because they do correctly identify this sort of Christian mentality, at least as I see it. And then when through their actions, though, we know exactly what they actually... Wow, I can't even speak today. We know how little they do. Jiminy Christmas.
25-year text encouraged us to give Jehovah the glory due his name. Well, Jehovah's people all over the world did just that. We rejoiced to see an average of 9,047,083 publishers. That represents a 2.5% increase. What's more, out of the 241 lands where we preach the good news, 96 reported all-time peaks in the number of publishers. In addition to the worldwide campaign to offer Bible studies in September 2024, various branches hosted local preaching campaigns during the service year. The emphasis on starting conversations and offering Bible studies clearly has Jehovah's blessing. For example, from June to August 2025, our brothers and sisters in Peru shared in a preaching campaign. What was the objective? to reach communities in 5 diverse regions of the country. These range from the Amazon River to high in the Andes Mountains. What was the response? During the campaign, nearly 10,000 people expressed interest in our Bible study course and asked to learn more about it. Similarly, from July to August 2025, thousands of our brothers and sisters shared in the first ever preaching campaign in Zambia's Western Province. An estimated 1.3 million people live in this vast and beautiful region. For many people who live in remote areas of the province, this was their first opportunity to hear the Bible's message. What was the result? During the campaign, over 24,500 people requested a Bible study. Isn't that amazing? Truly, the fields are white for harvesting. In fact,
All right, so this will be the last thing I talk about, but it's hard to get excited, even if I put my Jehovah's Witness hat on. It would be hard for me to get excited about how the preaching work is going, because you look at the numbers and you think, okay, how long has it taken for us to get another 1 million people to join the Jehovah's Witnesses, which, would seem to be easier if there's more of you. But it takes them longer and longer and longer and longer to add just one. They were stuck on 8 million people for so long. And that's got to be very tiring because, back in the 90s and the 2000s, it's like, oh man, we have 4 million. And then 3 or 4 years later, it's like, boom, oh, we got 5 million. And 3 or 4 years, and then again and again and again. And now it takes 20 years for them to go from 8 million to 9 million. It's painful. So their percentage increases, I don't even really trust their numbers, if I'm completely honest with you. I could be convinced either way. If you say they're rock solid and airtight, I'd be like, that's awesome. If you say that they're just making it up and lying, I'll be like, yeah, you're probably right. Who really knows at the end of the day? But from what they report, they're not any different really than Seventh-day Adventists or Mormons. And with all of the energy and time that they spend on preaching and recruiting, you would expect that percentage increase to be significantly higher than those other religions. But it's not. So at the end of the day, if you're saying this in order to get people excited so they preach more, if you're not really seeing any results, there's other religions that don't do any preaching and they are also increasing about at the same rate as you. Wouldn't you be like, why are we doing this? Plus, we have to go to places where they've probably never seen a Bible before, or they've never heard of Jehovah's Witnesses, so there's no context. And I imagine or suspect that a lot of these areas where they're getting 24,000 Bible studies don't have access to the internet or have very limited access to the internet. So I guess Watchtower, maybe they'll start a broadband company or something and can get internet, and then they'll censor said internet so they don't stumble across videos like these. Anyway, that's about all I have to say about this governing body update. Nothing very exciting or no big revelations or yeehaw moments. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. It was something to listen to on is it Saturday or Sunday? Well, if you're watching it today, then it's a Saturday. If you're watching it tomorrow, it's a Sunday. But anyway, with all that being said, stay safe, for real this time. Be kind, for real this time. And don't ever forget, for real this time, to spend more time loving the things you love than hating the things you hate. Now go out there and have a good ass day.